Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, RR Slugger, and it's time to rip into LEGO's biggest disaster ever, LEGO Dreams. Sorry, I don't mean any of that. And I feel bad, honestly, making a video like this just after the previous one, where I kind of tore into the new TV show quite harshly. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the sets, and I wanted to give a bit more context to them now that I've seen the show, and I can comment on them a little bit fuller, because there seems to be some breakdown somewhere between the two, where what's happening in the series isn't what's reflected in the sets, or vice versa. So I just want to dive into that a little bit here. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but yeah, let's take a look at these sets here. So in the first wave of LEGO Dreams here, we're going to receive 11 sets. Which is a pretty sizable first wave, and that's exciting in its own right. However, as I go through here and I take a look at the prices of them, by the way, these are all Canadian prices. I live in Canada, I deal with Canadian currency. You can do the conversion on lego.com in your region, I'm sure. But as I go through and I take a look at these prices, some of these sets make a lot of sense to me, and some of them don't make much sense at all. So I kind of wanted to talk about that here, and hopefully to get some of your feedback in the comment section below. To begin with, I wanted to start with some of the sets that I felt had great price tags attached to them, or have price tags that, from an outsider's perspective, look like it's a good deal, or it's worth the money here. So I'm going to start with Mateo and Z-Blob the Robot. Now, with this one here, it's $25 Canadian, and that to me, for what I see here, looks and feels good. That feels about right. A couple of minifigures, you get this big mech thing, $25, that's great, that's great. In a similar camp here is Izzy and Bunchu the Bunny, a bit of a different mech build, little bit bigger, I think, or a little bit more sizable in the piece count department, a single minifigure, and then one of those little, what do you call these things now? mini figures, I don't know what to call it. Yeah, anyways, both of these sets I think are at a perfect price point. I plan on at least picking up Z-Blob. I don't know if I'll go for Bunchu. I'm just not a big fan of the colors in that set there. In a similar vein here is the Dream Village, and now this one is $40 Canadian, and that to me again makes a lot of sense. For what I see here, I could definitely see each one of these little builds being you know, roughly between $10 or $15 each in that sort of department, and so you put them all together, $40 set, makes a lot of sense to me here. Now, in regards to this Dream Village here, and actually I'll talk about all three of these sets, a lot of them don't appear in the show, or at least when they do appear in the show, it's not like this. There seems to be some disconnect between what the writers of the show did and what the LEGO designers did. So this Dream Village, I think it's the Dream Village that gets terrorized in one of the episodes, but the little people there that we see manning the shops and whatnot, they don't look like this in the show. In the TV show, they're all little mushroom people, and they got mushroom cap hats on. Here they have hats that correspond with their profession, and they seem to be selling wares and such. They don't do any of this in the show, which was kind of a disappointment for me. I wanted to see how this society worked, this little dream society, what the currency was, that sort of thing. None of it is explored, I'm sorry to say. Now, the other minifigure here that is also included in Mateo and Z-Blob the Robot, that set as well, they make a brief appearance in the background of an episode, but I don't think we ever see them in the dream world. At least I don't remember seeing them in the dream world. So none of this happens in the show. Also, the little bed mimic thing in that set doesn't appear anywhere, and I was really saddened by that, because I could see a lot of story potential behind such a little thing like that. Bunchu the Bunny looks completely different in the show, but they're going for a different aesthetic. I get it. It is what it is, right? So the roller skates are never a thing, and the big punching bag fists don't really ever make an appearance either. Moving along from those two larger mech sets, I want to look at this one here. This is Grimkeeper the Cage Monster. Now this set itself, or what it depicts here, makes this big monster with a cage as its belly, and it traps dreamers inside. It makes a ton of appearances in the show. I almost think it's in every single episode. So it's highly represented there. And as such, I was kind of, I thought of giving it a second shot. You know, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll pick this one up too, because it seems to be a big part of the lore, or whatever you want to call it, right? But I check out the price tag on this thing, and 50 Canadian dollars. It is double the price of Mateo and Z-Blob or Bunchu the Bunny. I don't understand why. This is one of the ones that raises a bunch of questions for me. The piece count is almost identical, slightly larger. It has 2 minifigures, just like Mateo and Z-Blob did. Why is this set double the price? I'm really not seeing the like the difference here. I don't understand. And as we go through and we take a look at some of these other sets in this first wave, to me it almost feels like some of them have been arbitrarily inflated in price, maybe to help pay for the television show. I don't understand the back end of things here, but yeah, this is as far as I can tell, grossly overpriced compared to what we see even within the own theme. Like, it's not like I'm unfairly comparing this to a robot set that came out in the 90s or something like that. No, this is comparing it to Lego Dreams. I'm comparing it to its peers, and I'm not understanding. It's not clicking for me. One set that's in a similar price range but feels a little bit better to me is Miss Castillo's Turtle Van. This one appears in the series multiple times, and I think the set itself is really good. Like, at least from a visual aesthetics standpoint here. $60 Canadian feels like a fair price to me. I haven't built the set, obviously, so this is all surface level stuff. I probably will be looking into getting this one when August 1st rolls around, just to check it out. It's got a good selection of minifigures and minifigures, whatever they're called. There's this like cactus thing on the back of the bus here, or the van, I should say. As I don't remember this ever appearing in the show, so I do not know what it is, or what the inspiration is, or what happened there. It almost, to me, it feels like the in the Galador series, the Allegra set had this little Kiwop figure, little Kiwop companion that never appeared in the show. It was part of the set and just never made an appearance in the show. Quite strange in a lot of ways. Next up, price-wise, is the Pegasus Flying Horse. I think this will be someone's cup of tea, and 65 Canadian feels like a good price on a surface level here. It's not really a build for me. I'm not really into brick-built animals, and this one looks nice, but just won't be something I'm interested in. This next one, the Crocodile Car, hurts me on a personal level. $80 Canadian for less than 500 pieces. Ugh, it hurts, but this is also the one I want the most out of any of them, so come August 1st, I will be slapping down 80 big ones for this. In terms of how it appears in the show, it's barely in the show. There's more dollars in its price tag than seconds of screen time. That's what we're talking about here. And most of the items you see in this set, the side builds don't appear. They don't make any appearance here. And the crocodile shape of the car, like with the mouth and the legs and everything, none of that's in the show. So you get a little bit of the car, and I think you get a bit of the alt build of the car, the other alt build, I should say. And that's it. That's it. So hopefully they weren't banking on the show, sending people to the sets to want to buy them, because you barely see any of these sets in the show, or the vast majority of them, I should say. The next one here is the Stable of Dream Creatures. This one sells for $100 Canadian, and I don't think any of this appears in the show. I know I've been saying that a lot recently here, but looking at this building and the windmill, there's that cactus thing again. The only thing I remember from this entire set is the elk or caribou or whatever it is. I remember seeing those at some point, but none of this other stuff, which is very strange for it being one of the biggest sets in this wave, and for it to not have any screen appearance is very odd. Now the price on this one here, I know the piece count is less than 700 pieces, so maybe if you're trying to get, you know, your 10-cent price per part ratio or whatever, it might not work out. However, the price doesn't offend me on this one. I think I could see this one making sense. It's not really a build for me. I'm not a huge fan of the colors that are being used in the set, but I could see this one being a fairly decent build and a fairly decent value overall. So now we're starting to get into some of the bigger ones, the big three, I think. Mr. Oz's Space Bus is the first of them. This one, even though I know it's a spaceship, it really just doesn't appeal to me here. It's kind of hodgepodge and strange looking. Reminds me a lot of the Space Police 3 sub-theme, and I just wasn't big on those sets personally. It comes with a ton of those mini figures, whatever you want to call them. It is the only one that comes with Mr. Oz, which is a shame because I'd really like to get that minifigure. Same with Albert as well too, who turned out to be one of my favorite characters from the show. Although the Mr. Oz here isn't the Mr. Oz I want. I want to get him in his civilian gear. I hope they do some sets for LEGO Dreams that are based in the real world at some point, maybe in the second wave. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see from this. So the next one here is the Fantastical Treehouse. This one has almost 1,300 pieces and is $140 Canadian. This is one that I am also interested in. I really am. I like the design of it. I like the science fiction looking tree and the different tree houses and whatnot here. And I was waiting for a long time for this to show up in the show because I was thinking like, okay, this will be their home base or something like that. And at some point I had to just kind of pause and realize, oh wait, is that supposed to be the tree house? That random tree that just sits there and they never interact with? That's what the set is based on? I don't understand the logic of having a flagship set like this. This is the second largest set from the series, and having almost no screen presence for a set like this. And it looks like it's packed with detail. It looks like this is a cool hangout place for the Dream Chasers, and yet none of that is represented in the show. I just don't understand. I feel like they must have. The writers must have written the show or had a lot of the show made before these sets were finalized, or vice versa. There is a major disconnect that has happened between what we see on screen and what we see here in the sets. And I mean, without having seen the show initially, I couldn't make that connection. But now that I've seen the show and I'm looking back at these sets, it's not adding up. Something's amiss here, and I don't quite understand what it is. But I've got some inclinations here. So let's take a look at the Nightmare Shark ship here. Now this one appears on screen quite a bit in the show, and it actually gets a lot of good screen time. We get some origin story behind the shark jaw and whatnot on it. It transforms in certain areas in the show. The show does a good job of selling the viewer on this set. So that's awesome. Good for them. However, the price tag here, 180 Canadian dollars. And if we look at the piece count, it's basically about 100, maybe 150 pieces more than the Fantastical Tree set. And that one is $40 less. So I know it's not a one-to-one, price, with your pieces and stuff. This one's got some big wheel pieces. I understand the big fins for the sails. That all makes sense. I guess what I'm trying to say here is there's a big price disparity between the two sets, and maybe not a substantial difference between the substance of them. Well, you already know my thoughts on the show, and I guess if you haven't seen my video on it, you can check it out here if you like. It has definitely sullied my excitement for the series somewhat. I don't want to become a Let's Hate on LEGO Dreams channel by any means. That's not why I'm doing any of this. I still plan on going out and grabbing a number of these sets just to review and to check them out, because I'm interested. I really do want to give the sets themselves a fair shake. I tried to give the show a fair shake. Thought I did a pretty good job at that. Left disappointed. I really hope that doesn't happen with these LEGO sets too. That'd be really, really crushing. So I think my current game plan is to go out on August 1st and pick up a few of these locally. I'm definitely in it for Z-Blob. I want to get that one. Probably Miss Castillo's Turtle Van. Obviously the Crocodile car, that's a big one for me. And I'm on the fence about the Treehouse. I'm kind of hemming and hawing. I'm going back and forth. I kind of want to see it built up maybe in the LEGO store, like in person, before I pull the trigger on it, because it is a lot of money, you know, and obviously I've talked about this in the past too. These videos don't pay for the hobby. It's the sad and bitter truth. But yeah, this is money that I'm saving up from my job to then go and you know, experience a hobby. I like to have fun with my hobby here. So it's not like I can buy all of these sets and review all of them. That's just not financially possible for me at this moment. Not that I would really want to either. That's a lot. That's a lot of LEGO. And I really, by and large, dislike covering modern LEGO for this reason, and the reason being is it puts a ticking timer on how much time you have to go out and finish the review or to make the video while it's topical. Some of this LEGO Dream stuff that I'm talking about here today, especially talking about the price tags, I already feel like I'm behind the curve on this because I know a lot of channels have already gone and dissected this sort of stuff and broke it down. I just wanted to wait until I had seen the show to give it proper context. That's why because I don't want to make snap judgment decisions. I want to have a little bit more understanding of what I'm talking about. So unless some major cataclysmic event happens and LEGO Dreams news spills out onto the airwaves between now and August 1st, you'll probably see August 1st as being the next time I talk about LEGO Dreams. My plan is to buy the sets that I mentioned earlier, to live stream the building process, and then shortly thereafter release videos on each set or the sets together. Despite my disappointment with the show, I'm still looking forward to these sets, and I hope you are as well, and I hope to see you there. Until then, I've been your host, RR Slugger, and I will be back very soon with far more scripted content. I know it's been a little bit rambly as of late, but I have, and I mean this with no word of a lie here, 4 or 5 scripts completely recorded. They're ready to start the editing phase. I just need to do some more LEGO photography recently. I just have been focusing on writing and recording a little bit more heavily, so I just need to get back in gear with some of the photography and catch up on some of those scripts. I like what I have in store, and I hope you do as well. Hopefully it'll be exciting. I'll see you then.